Prince Harry's American visa records have been unsealed by US judges after claims that he lied about drug use on his visa applications when coming to the US back in 2020. So these documents relating to the visa applications have been unsealed in court. However, they are heavily redacted and no details have been given yet as to what Prince Harry put on his immigration form, but there are some interesting details to go over nonetheless. So a US court had ordered the release of the documents based on a Freedom of Information request by the Heritage Foundation, which is this conservative US think tank based in Washington, D.C. And this foundation is accusing Prince Harry of hiding his past use of drugs, which should have disqualified him from obtaining a US visa. And then the allegations are based around his claims made in his memoir Spare, where he referred to taking cocaine, marijuana, and psychedelic mushrooms, kind of shooting himself in the foot with these visa applications because you are meant to disclose a past use of drugs, and this is meant to usually disqualify you from getting a visa in the USA. According to the BBC, admissions of drug use can lead to non-immigrant and immigrant visa applications being rejected, although immigration officers have discretion to make a final decision based on different factors. In the event, very little information was disclosed in the documents which were released a couple of days ago, and the Prince's visa form has not yet been released either, but I will update you if it does. Instead, the documents that were released are supporting declarations and court transcripts created in the course of the case by the Heritage Foundation, and they reveal that the US government previously told a court that the Duke could be subjected to harassment if his visa records were made public. Indeed, a chief Freedom of Information officer within the US Department for Homeland Security could be seen to argue that releasing the material, quote, would potentially expose the individual to harm from members of the public. So this is kind of saying a message possibly without actually saying it. The only reason I can think of that Prince Harry would be subjected to harassment from the public is if either he did lie about not taking drugs to get his visa approved, or if he did disclose that he had taken drugs and then they approved the visa application anyway, because as we said earlier, an immigration officer has the final say, so possibly that might be what happens, but that's just, take that all with a pinch of salt, that's just pure speculation. Of course, nothing is public yet. The declaration from Jared Panter, submitted to the court in April last year, reads, quote, "The USCIS, the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, routinely protects from disclosure the non-immigrant/immigrant status sought by third parties who do not have permission from the beneficiary to receive this information. To release such information would potentially expose the individual to harm from members of the public who might have a reason to manipulate or harass individuals depending on their status in the United States." The declaration added to release his exact status could subject him to reasonably foreseeable harm in the form of harassment as well as unwanted contact by the media and others. So I think that is a telling message. Sam Dewey from the Heritage Foundation told the BBC that he believes the DHS has not provided all its papers, saying he is frustrated and this is not the end of the road. So we will see more updates from this coming soon, I'm sure, and I'll make sure to update you on here as well. Sam Dewey from the Heritage Foundation says he expects the next move to be a sort of filing that could lay out the next steps, adding, quote, "We may well have another lawsuit against the Department of Homeland Security." He accuses Prince Harry of privilege, alleging he has benefited from his wealth and status by being allowed to live in the US despite this past admission of drug use. And if you hadn't heard or didn't read about the past admissions that Prince Harry made, back when he published his memoir in January 2023, he wrote that he first tried cocaine at the age of 17, saying, quote, "It wasn't much fun and it didn't make me particularly happy as it seemed to make everyone around me, but it did make me feel different and that was the main goal." He then also wrote about using marijuana as well, saying cocaine didn't do anything for me, but marijuana is different. That actually really did help me. I'm not sure how, and I'm really not sure why he decided to write these in a very public memoir, as well as all of his other allegations, of course. It is hard to get into Prince Harry's mind, but the court's decision that these files can be released came after a 2024 ruling last year, which said there was not enough public interest in disclosing Prince Harry's immigration records, which I think is false. I think there is a lot of public interest, and the Heritage Foundation contested that ruling and pushed for the judgment to be changed. and the documents have now been released. Also, a lot of stuff that goes on in the legal system in the United States, of course, also depends on the current administration that's running the country. In my opinion, I think the courts and the legal system should be completely separate to whoever's running the country. But of course, each party, while they're in power, packs the courts with loyalists from their particular range of views and ideologies. So yeah, it's quite a broken system, really. But yes, so Prince Harry, of course, moved over to the US in 2020 with his wife Meghan Markle, and he still lives over there in Montecito, California, with their children now as well, as he stepped down as a working royal. And it's not clear what visa he entered the country on in that year. While of course Meghan Markle is a US citizen, so there was no issues with her going back. But President Trump also previously ruled out deporting Prince Harry in February, telling the New York Post, quote, "I'll leave him alone. He's got enough problems with his wife. She's terrible." And Meghan, of course, has been a vocal critic of Trump in the past, which is probably why he made those statements. She has called him a misogynist and things like that. But I won't go too much deeper into my own views on Trump. But the BBC did contact the Duke's office for comment, but has not received anything back yet. So that about wraps up the whole article that the BBC released on Tuesday, the 18th of March. I'm recording this on Wednesday, so if anything else comes out more recently than that, then you will know that I'll update you with a future video, but that's just to set the context. But yes, so these documents have been released and unsealed in court, but they are heavily redacted. Hopefully we will see the full story come out at some point. Perhaps the Heritage Foundation will make another, they said they were going to do another lawsuit, so maybe they will argue that there is a lot of public interest in knowing this, and then the consequences for Prince Harry could be fairly severe. But of course, if he has received preferential treatment due to his wealth and his status, then that could be an argument that the Heritage Foundation makes. Because of who he is, he has received preferential treatment in his visa application. So we'll have to wait and see what comes out with regards to all of this. But let me know down in the comments below, what do you think? Do you think they are purposefully not releasing much of this stuff, not because there's not enough public interest, but because it would cause controversy for Prince Harry and they want to protect him? Or do you think there is not much to the story at all? Let me know down in the comments below. But as always, thank you very much for watching this video right to the end. If you enjoyed, give it a like and subscribe. And as always, I will see you in the next video.